Now we are about to board our next flight, and this one is going to be with China Eastern, which I have never flown with before. There was an issue at the gate, so they had to give me a new boarding pass, which is fine. They've given me a new seat. Let me just check what it is so I'm actually sitting in the right place. I have to be careful just in case they don't like me video recording on their airlines as well, like they did in the French one and the Air France. Merci. Alright, let's go. Bismillah.
So, a bit of information about this Shanghai-based airline. They were formed in 1988 after the Civil Aviation Administration of China decided to split into 6 different airlines, China Eastern being one of them. They are one of the major 3 airlines in China after Beijing-based Air China and China Southern based in Guangzhou.
Ni hao. Ni hao, 早上好. Merci. 谢谢.
Their main hubs are Shanghai Pudong and Shanghai Hongqiao International Airports, and they are about 3.5% owned by Delta Airlines. They currently have a fleet of about 670 aircraft, majority being Airbus and some being Boeing.
Business class looks really nice. Definitely looks nicer than the Air France flight I was on this morning. Let's see where I am in economy.
Today, our journey between Paris and Shanghai will be on a Boeing B777. I'll do my best to show the features of this flight, including the food, entertainment, comfort, facilities, and anything else that might be interesting.
Pardon? Allez-y. So I've connected my microphone because I think it's quite loud on this plane. It is very warm on this plane. There's a... they're probably going to tell me in a sec that I need to put this away. So I am sat, it's a 343 seating layout. It's a very full flight. There are a lot of people. I'll just show real quick what it's like. Yeah, I'm going to just record whatever I can real quick.
Seat safety card is normal, showing that this is a Boeing 777 airplane. Here is a standard seat in economy class, enough room for me to put my bag. Please excuse the shot of my crotch. And of course the in-flight entertainment unit with a detachable remote control and screen. To the left you see a hook for a coat and the usual collapsible tray table. Here they've given us the usual blanket and pillow that they provide in economy class, and this one even has their logo printed on it.
Here it is, the standard in-flight information on how to properly behave on an aeroplane, i.e. wear your seatbelts, sit down, shut up, and just do as they tell you. So far though, much nicer than the Air France flight I was on this morning, much bigger. The plane looks really quite new. The flight attendants were quite friendly and they showed me which way to go. They greeted me with hello, good morning, and ni hao, cao shang hao, or like, bonjour and things like that. And then they showed me where to go, and they've given you a blanket and a pillow, as you've seen already, and I've put my stuff down. I have an aisle seat, which means I'll have a little bit of extra leg room, which is good. So far, it's not that cramped, so we'll see how it goes.
Note 10 plus. Please, yeah, please. Same with you.
As you can see from this route map, we will be flying over Russian airspace. This is probably the reason why China Eastern Airlines is a little cheaper than other airlines, which refuse to fly over Russian airspace due to sanctions because of the current political climate. Here's a little overview of China Eastern's in-flight entertainment selection. Now, I've seen on previous reviews of China Eastern that they do not have a huge selection. I, for one, was actually quite satisfied with the selection. I've seen other YouTubers say that you should download some entertainment of your own on an iPad, on a phone, wherever you want to, so that you have something to watch during the flight. I, for one, like I said, was perfectly satisfied with what I saw. They had a decent selection of Disney films and also other Hollywood films. As you've probably seen, they had Deadpool vs. Wolverine, they also had WALL-E, they have Frozen, they also had one of the Avatar films as well. I actually watched Coco, which is one of the Disney films, and I also did watch a Chinese film. Now, the thing is, I love watching foreign films whilst on board an airplane. That's kind of my excuse to broaden my horizons, watch something a little bit different in another language. So I watched a Chinese film called Dumpling Queens, which was actually a very sweet film. So there is a little bit of everything for people. It's not just Chinese language films. So you probably will find something that would suit your taste. Their TV selection, however, wasn't very large. Usually most airlines, they'll have things like Friends, Big Bang Theory, and a few other things. So I decided not to really watch any of their TV selection and just stuck to their movie selection instead. Every airline review seems to have a review or a preview of what their toilets look like, so here I am doing the same. It's nothing special, it's a pretty standard airline toilet in economy class. You have your toilet, you have your sink, you have your little bin for rubbish, toilet paper, and also the mandatory no smoking in lavatory sign. Yep, don't smoke. And then they've got your little hand wash and also a little cardboard air freshener, as well as towels. And here is a 360 view. As you can see, it's really not very big, just about big enough for me. So whilst I was busy showing you guys the airplane bathroom, the special meal I had ordered had arrived before I even got back to my seat. Here is the salad. It's a smoked salmon salad with some tomatoes, lettuce, and some lemon. And then here is a little muffin cake type thing. And they've even given us a vinaigrette, which is pretty fancy for a economy class. And then, of course, a butter pat. More on that later. Now here's the main meal. I ordered a Muslim meal, and once I actually boarded and got to my seat, one of the flight attendants even actually came up to me to confirm that I had ordered this. You can't really see it written on the foil in the camera. Here I am giving it a sniff. It's kind of like a standard yellow curry, and you know what? It smelled pretty good, and actually, if I'm completely honest, it tasted pretty great as well, and I'm about to try it here. Yep, I seem to approve. Funnily enough, because I made a special meal request, my food was actually delivered to the seat before everybody else's, so I was actually eaten and finished before everyone else had even been served theirs. If you watch any other reviews of China Eastern Airlines, you'll see the following happen. They actually serve their bread rolls at the end of the meal rather than before or during. I know it's a little bit peculiar. I believe it might just be due to bread in China or in East Asia being seen more as a dessert item as opposed to something to eat as an appetizer or a starter. Either way, I'm not bothered. I think that's why you're supposed to keep the butter pat that they give you towards the end, but I just ate it with the muffin instead. I mean, hey ho, this is what you get when you fly on different airlines. I mean, why not? It's a new cultural experience. Enjoy the rest of my movie and hopefully have a little bit of a sleep. We've got about an hour and a half left of the flight and they've just served the breakfast. So this is the one that I got. So it came with omelette, it also had spinach and broccoli, which I ate, and also some potatoes, which I ate, and a yogurt, which I also ate. The fruit was not good, it tasted really bad, so I didn't eat that. And I usually would eat the omelette, but honestly, I don't know, for some reason, feeling slightly nauseous. I could smell the food preparing when they were preparing it in the galley. Even the smell was making me feel a bit nauseous, so pardon me. I decided just to eat a little bit. It's best not to push yourself and force yourself to eat. We're an hour delayed leaving Paris, 1 hour, because they had to de-ice the plane. I only have 2 hours stopover in Shanghai to catch my final flight to Osaka. I'm just hoping that I don't miss that flight. I'm going to need to ask one of the flight attendants when are we expected to arrive. I slept a little bit, went to the bathroom obviously as you saw, and I also had a bit of I watched a couple of movies, and I was planning on maybe bringing out my Japanese folders and doing a little bit of studying of Japanese whilst on the plane, but I ended up not doing that. I thought that would happen anyway, so alright, hopefully we land and hopefully I managed to get my connection. Touchdown Shanghai Pudong, and luckily I think I might be should be alright to get my next flight. I won't be rushing like crazy. There we go, follow the signs for international arrivals. So this is Pudong International Airport. And there's another, this is the main hub. And then there is China Eastern, which flies via Shanghai, which is where we are now. This is my first time actually coming to this airport. The reason that I actually chose China Eastern is because on my return flight from Japan back to the UK, I will stop over in Shanghai for 24 hours, and I've never visited Shanghai before, so that's the reason I chose China Eastern. And also, not only that, the price. As you saw on the route map, they fly over Russia, which, given the current political situation with the invasion of Ukraine, obviously a lot of airlines, major airlines, are avoiding flying over Russian airspace. So it generally makes flying with Chinese airlines a little bit cheaper. So now let's see where I need to go. So I have to follow this crowd and go to the transfer area and figure out where my next
flight will be. I need to lay down. I mean, I did sleep on the plane, but there's only so many positions that I can sleep in whilst sat on an airplane seat. And also, not only that, towards the end of the flight, I started feeling nauseous and I've got a bit of a headache. So we'll see. I'm going to try and... I've got some medication with me, so I should be alright. And there's a bit of a queue for this escalator, so let's see where we end up. Goodness, what a mess it is. So this is the inside of the departure hall at Shanghai Pudong Airport. As you can see, it is a pretty big hall. Jeez, it is like herding cats basically, trying to get through transfer. So first you have to go through a bit of immigration, then you have to go through security again, and basically you're taken from one queue to another. Jeez, I got hit in the face by the security guard by accident, but he did apologize. So crazy. Anyway, I can't get the Wi-Fi to work on my phone here. I mean, it would be ideal if I could send a message to say that I've arrived in Shanghai. I tried using a VPN, but I couldn't. I'm going to try and find a water refill station. I see one right there. I might see if I can buy I fancy a fizzy drink of some sort, but I definitely need to take a bit of medication because my head's really hurting. But geez, this stopover has been way more stressful than the one in Paris. The one in Paris, I kept seeing, oh, security, no security, no security, again and again and again, and then finally I got to have a few hours to sit around. But this one, it was just crazy. Anyway, and I can't get the Wi-Fi to work, so let me just show you actually, since I'm walking past one. See this right here? It is a Wi-Fi kiosk which you're supposed to use to log in to, and you have to scan your passport, whatever. Now, instead, I was on the metro taking me from arrivals to wherever I am now. And so it asked me to scan in my passport, which I did. And then it said, okay, you're connected. It allowed me to load a couple of things, like a couple of web pages, but then nothing else. So I'm just like, oh, okay. You know what, it's fine. I'm not here for very long. I'm going to make my way to the gate because it does say boarding, so I should probably get to where I need to, which is just up that way somewhere. So I'm going to make my way now. I think this is my gate over here. I believe it is. So I will board very shortly. 谢谢。早上好，欢迎登机。39 L. Oh, sorry. Oh. It's been a few weeks since I've returned from my trip to Japan and Shanghai. Here are my final thoughts on flying with China Eastern Airlines. I will break it down as much as I can, and I will also be giving scores out of 10 for each of the various aspects. So the first aspect is value for money. Now, back in 2012, I flew to Japan with KLM/Air France, and I paid around £527, Great British pounds at the time. That was super off-peak season. It was literally dry season for Japan visiting. It was the end of January, and it was very, very cold. Probably why it was so cheap. Fast forward about 13 years, I booked this flight August of 2025, and this one cost me about £643. So a difference of about 120 British pounds. Not a huge difference for me personally. I think it was quite a decent price. This also included 2 stopovers, so one in Europe and then one in Shanghai. So overall, I think it was a decent price. Could I have gotten it slightly cheaper? Yes, maybe. However, it depends on when you book it, which website you use, etc, etc. So overall value for money, I would say I would give it about a 7.5 out of 10. Next, I'm going to talk about the overall vibe of the aircraft, the feeling,
handling, and just generally the experience overall. I would give that a good 8.5 out of 10. There was nothing about the experience that I thought was really, really crazy. Obviously, going through Shanghai Pudong was a little bit crazy, but that's the airport, not the actual airline itself. Overall, when I was flying, everything seemed clean, modern, and really, it was comparable to other airlines that I have flown with. When I flew back, I was flying with KLM, because China Eastern Airlines and KLM have a code-sharing agreement. It was actually comparable, both of them, both of their economy classes. There was no part of the flight where I was looking and thinking, okay, that's a bit old, that needs replacing. What on earth is this? Everything seemed pretty standard and regular for flying with this airline. So overall experience, I would give it a good 8.5 out of 10. Comfort. This is where it falls short. I'm probably going to give it about a 6 out of 10, which I know is a low score. This is not a criticism against China Eastern Airlines. This is the nature of the industry. I did not fly with first class or business class. I flew in coach, economy class. Economy class is fine if you're flying for maybe 7 or 8 hours, potentially 9 hours maximum, both on the way there and on the way back. It was over 10 hours. When you're flying for that long, it can get very tiring. And like I said in the video, it doesn't matter how many positions you try and sleep in, it's not ideal, especially if you can't lay flat for at least an hour. This is the nature of the airline industry now. They want to prioritize space over comfort. So this is not a criticism against China Eastern Air, this is just a point of view about the industry as a whole. Food. I heard a few mixed reviews about the food, that it wasn't that great or things like that. I'm going to give it quite a high score of a 9 out of 10, honestly. I thought it was really, really good. What they served, I was really happy with it. Now, as you saw, I ordered a Muslim meal, halal meal. The only slight critique I have was that the fruit that I had for the breakfast wasn't great, but is fresh fruit going to stay fresh when flying at a high altitude for over 10 hours? Probably not. So again, not a criticism against China Eastern. Now, here's something that I had to do. The website through which I booked my flight, they were going to charge me £9 or £10 to make a special meal request for both legs. And I was like, are you kidding me? This should be in the price of the ticket. I went around them. I contacted China Eastern Airlines directly. I found their email address and I contacted them. I emailed in October. They told me it's too early, email us closer to the time. I emailed them in November, about 10 days before my flight, and they said, yep, we will order your Muslim meals for all of your flights. That included Paris to Shanghai, Shanghai to Osaka, and even Osaka to Shanghai on the way back. And they responded within like an hour or two. So I was like, wow. And when I sat down on each of the flights, flight attendant would come up to me to confirm my meal order. So that was actually really good. So here's a tip. If you do have a special meal request, whether it is dietary, whether it is religious, do contact your airline directly, at least 72 hours beforehand, minimum 24 hours beforehand. For any Jewish viewers out there or any people who follow kosher, definitely contact them earlier than that, because I think kosher meals are a little bit more difficult to source, so they'll need more notice in order to get that for you. Alternatively, you could always buy a sandwich at the airport and take it on board if you wanted to. Now that leads me on to the next part, which is customer service. Mixed reviews about their customer service. Some people saying it was really good, some people saying it was almost non-existent. I'm going to say something a bit controversial here. 10 out of 10. Honestly, in my personal experience, from ordering the meal to booking the flight and to actually being on board the plane, I had no issues. No rude staff. They were all very friendly, very professional. The flight itself was very good overall. Partway through the flight, because I thought we were going to be delayed arriving into Shanghai, I did speak to one of the flight attendants and she was perfectly nice and explained the situation to me. Their English isn't the strongest, but they're Chinese, so they don't come from an English-speaking country, so why would their English be the strongest? So that's absolutely fine. Honestly, it was a really good experience overall with their customer service. Overall, what was my experience with them? Like I keep saying, it was good. Apart from the comfort levels, I got what I paid for, if I'm completely honest, and it was comparable to other airlines that I have been on. For me, economy is economy. Some economy classes give you a little bit extra, some don't. China Eastern is known for being an airline that a lot of people use just to get them from A to B, and I guess it did the job for me. I got from A, I got to B, and I got back as well. If you're expecting super luxury, you might want to consider another airline, but this wasn't some cheapo, basic budget airline, if I'm completely honest. It was somewhere in between. Would I fly with them again? If the price is right, if the timing is right, if they offer the destination, maybe I would fly with them. Actually, no, yeah, I would fly with them again. And I would give my overall experience with them a solid 8.5 out of 10. It was good. Customer service was pretty solid. So really, I have nothing but good things to say. Just bear in mind, this review is my personal opinion. I have seen mixed reviews about China Eastern, written reviews, but then also I watched a lot of YouTube reviews, and a lot of them I think said similar things to me. If you are interested, there are a few other reviews that you can check out. Take what I say as lightly. My experience was a good experience, but other people's experience might be a little bit different. They might not have had a good experience with customer service, or their flight may have been severely delayed, or they may have lost their baggage, etc., etc. But you can find that with any airline. Again, this is just the nature of flying internationally. This is just the nature of going up into the sky. This is just the nature of the industry, where it is public transportation and you are not on a private jet. I hope this this review helped you, and if not, I hope you at least enjoyed my weird and wacky adventure going through Shanghai Pudong Airport on the way to Japan. If you liked this video, consider giving me a hit on the subscribe button and comment down below. And thank you so much for watching, and thank you for coming along with me. And who knows, if I go abroad again anytime soon, maybe I'll do another review of that as well. Thank you again. 谢谢大家.